given the options there for them to play damage dealers, they opt not to. Still playing around Winston in a more of a tankier setup here. The Sombra from Carpe will be crucial now. Great at shutting down damage dealers, essentially, especially their evasion abilities, but it doesn't start well. The fight that is Dante finding Boombox to open things up. All three supports from
come down from Rocket.
That's a trouble. Oh, that's a stick! Yes, Boombox can heal himself during his ultimate, but burst damage will still be king in that case. Ahan's forced into a recall, but Boink was so low. Ahan should be able to chase down that target. That's Neptuno sneaking off.
This one ain't close. I mean, this has been a dominant performance here so far in map 1 from the Outlaws. In total, like, it kills to death. You have 29 for the 29 for the Outlaws and only 5 total over these first 2 points for Philadelphia. Just getting rolled.
Philly, they spent so much time working on their 3-3 composition in stage 1 to be competitive, and they still trying to work on it now. But the Outlaws have gone with a completely different approach, and it looks like Philly honestly don't know what to do about it. This EMP could be big. Sato's just trying to cause some problems in the back line. Dante's had to translocate out for the moment, so you'll have to be take a while to return. And finally, Sato does find Linksa there. That Primal Rage went all the way. But the Outlaws still have the tools to do a lot of work in this fight. Pulse Bomb trying to be dropped on EQO, but he's able to get away. Boombox fading out of the damage from Ahan, who has to recall. Sound Barrier now coming out for the Philadelphia Fusion. They still have EMP in reserve. The Outlaws not able to force that out. Finally, Philly get on the board for the first time in this entire map of Nepal.
Yeah, now Philly will have the EMP. They'll have Rally in the next fight and a Coalescence. So we'll see what the Outlaws decide to do, because you're only really running the Lucio with the one sustained support ultimate with the Sound Barrier. You don't want to use it before the EMP comes out. You probably don't want to use it pushing into Rally. Like, if you're Philadelphia here, you can use Rally at the beginning of the fight. You kind of know if you force Sound Barrier, great, then you EMP. If they don't use Sound Barrier, you have the effects of the Rally. Here's an earlier Sound Barrier. Boink's able to get the Sound Barrier off.
That was not the EMP I don't think the Carpe was looking for. Muma was the only one that was caught by that, and Boink was able to break line of sight and get a Sound Barrier. Muma now able to find Neptuno is absolutely massive. He's off the table. Boombox had to go for the Coalescence, and EQO's taken down by an Ahan Pulse Bomb. That's 2 from him already in this round. He'd be pleased with this one. He does not have a recall available for a couple seconds, so he ducks back to the health pack. The Outlaws do need to start leaning into Philly here. Now losing Raucus, they won't be able to play as protracted a fight, but here's an EMP. This could end it right here, right now. Poco, Neptuno, Carpe all caught. Boombox is able to get the bite of grass finish on Dante, and Poco is removed from the fight. Now Mumu could run a little bit more wild, but needs to be wary of the Brigitte, who still stands. Helix Rocket from Linksa found Boombox, with Ahan going down to EQO, though that Brig is still going to be a problem, and Linksa can't do enough from the high ground to get Philly off for the points. The scrappy East Coasters stay in it.
And it almost doesn't work out for Philadelphia. They're not able to get the Rally off because you did have the EMP come out from Dante. It's okay, so now they switch it up. So we didn't know if the Outlaws could run like a standard 3-3 into this. Arhan's going to play Break. You're going to have Linksa play the Zarya. And then Dante has played a little bit limited D.Va in the past.
The switch up here, we saw this from the Outlaws in their matchup against the Titans. It wasn't enough to really get them out of trouble, but this is a different beast here, the Fusion. Carpe, it's got to be an EMP. He actually throws the Translocator in to set it up instead of using it as an escape, and it seems to have worked out just fine. Everybody on the Outlaws got caught by that one because they're forced to fight together on the point. All of them subject to the EMP switching their abilities off.
Yeah, you kind of know that's what you're walking into if you're the Houston Outlaws. You have to have an idea the EMP's available for Philly. So Carpe's going to go back to the spawn. He'll probably go to Zarya here. Yep, going to bring the Zarya in. So get your own 3-3, and Philly has a big advantage this final fight. They'll have Coalescence, Sound Barrier, Self-Destruct, and because of the light change from the Outlaws, they have nothing.
Fusion now. Got Coalescence, the least optimal support ultimate to have, but still going to help in a pinch. Muma goes down. Bit of extra damage from Boombox, definitely goes a long way. That's a Sound Barrier now folded in to that group of support ultimates. With Boink being removed from the fight, Philadelphia Fusion look to have woken back up. The Outlaws, they got forced off of their damage dealer focus composition, and now Philly get to play the game they want to play, evening things up here on Busan.
So just way more ultimates available at the end for Philadelphia. Houston has to have one kind of junk fight where the EMP comes out, so you needed to go quick. They got the EMP out, but in the end, just the double support ults for Philadelphia, plus Poco's self-destruct, just way too much for the Outlaws to just power their way through. Now, you know, the Coalescence from Boombox, not really super effective to heal, but it also does do down damage, and it goes through shields. So they just kind of target Muma right away, and Muma puts a shield up, there's nothing he can do.
I mean, it's kind of unheard of in these compositions, right? Getting damage that penetrates through shields from long distance.
Yes.
So it's free damage. And remember, in these 3-3 compositions, you don't have a lot of burst healing. It's just the Brigitte repair pack. So that damage makes a difference in a longer fight.
And it also heals, right? So if they're going kind of through or whatnot, like, can get the heals up.
Yeah, it's not great at either of those two things, but I mean, very helpful because it gives you both.
Philly backs out right away. They see Reinhardt 3-3 from Houston. Houston actually hid in the alleyway. They probably tried to bait them in to come a little bit deep.
I mean, if you're Fusion, you probably expect something that involves a Widowmaker, since we saw it earlier.
If you're Philadelphia, this is what you want. They're not running the roster that you usually see them run when they play triple tank, triple support. This is the roster Philadelphia plays all the time. Like, if you can't out teamwork and coordinate this roster, which one would you?
That's a great point. These aren't the 3-3 specialists set up here for the Houston Outlaws. We'll have to make do, and they do in the first fight. Getting Carpe early is definitely a good sign. And obviously removing the mech, which would have been very pesky.
And Houston has two very strong flex tank players in Spree and Coolmat. You have neither of them in the game right now. Dante has to pick up the Diva role, which we know he's a very talented player.
But that is a weakness that is in your roster if you are going to, well, I say a weakness with, like air quotes, where you might have to adapt and your specialists aren't present.
Or, I mean, I think you just kind of just shows insane trust in Dante that he's able to play Diva at a high enough level that you're okay to opt into this.
And we know that Dante kind of plays everything. It's what the Shock said of him before he left that team, and that's one of the most impressive parts about him as a player. Rumor smacks EQO there, hits the flat side of the hammer. Sato knocked away from this one, and that was just as well for the Outlaws, because Sato was poised to really put the hurt on the Outlaws. After that Earth Shadow, they were very vulnerable. Great knockback on him. And the Outlaws actually get away with that one.
Yeah, but Trance comes out for both teams, so you don't really have anything. You're going to have the sound barrier for Philadelphia to get through the Graviton Surge that Linkster puts down. Let's see how good of a coordinated Graviton Surge from Linkster, self-destruct from Dante they can pull off here. It'd be really impressive if they were able to land one of these.
Huge Earth Shadow from Moomer in the previous fight, but now the Outlaws won't have that available. Here comes the Graviton Surge, but the sound barrier comes in. Linkster realizes there's no point trying to burn down Boombox in the back line. Sato, though, falls. The Outlaws do get something for this trade, and now they can use the advantage of them having a Reinhardt and their opponents not. Using the shield, backing up, mitigating damage, and there's yet another Earth Shadow from Moomer. It's 2 in 2 fights from Moomer, and yet another huge one. Not only 2, but 2 impactful shatters over the course of 2 fights. This could hurt, but Poco drops it in. Yep, Sato wasn't there. The timing was real good. And just as the Outlaws get to 91%, the Fusion finally managed to make their way back in. Self-destruct, grab, Transcendence all used there.
And Philly knows that is a one-fight type of scenario where they needed to use the grab. Not ideal because they knew the Shatter was going to come right after it from Muma. But if you don't use it there, you're running back to the point now. You maybe get like a last-second touch. Like it's just a bad of a spot.
Just as Muma went down as well, the Outlaws actually got caught out. They were trying to chase the dregs of Philly off at the point.
So, you know there's no grab for Philadelphia. You can use this Transcendence, a little bit more freely here if you're the Outlaws. You can rally, push in, then when people get weak trance, you just don't have the sustainability for Philadelphia to get through it.
Fire strike from Sato trying to stave the Outlaws off, but with that rally healing, the poke damage is pretty insignificant. Earth Shatter comes in, Arhan and Muma both caught out by that one, but the Transcendence from Raucus will keep them standing now. As the point is taken back by the Outlaws, and now we go straight into overtime. The Graviton Surge was placed on the assumption the Fusion would push further, but they disengaged for just a moment. Now to Sound Barrier, they managed to avoid the grab and come in with a lot of durability now to clean the fight off and keep themselves in this map. The Outlaws were poised to take it, but not now.
You can see the idea from Linkster. They back down the staircase, and then he thinks that they're just going to jump onto the point to try and contest because it's at 99. But they don't
just flipped it.
Yeah, and they don't come down the staircase, so the grab gives you 0. There is that is a big turn of events because like the last fight they had both support ults. Nice shatter by Sato, but look now the grab comes down, you kill both supports here. They have to now back up. Philly's not going to invest anything else into this, so now Philadelphia, you use that grab to hold on to both your support ults. You're looking like in a pretty good spot.
That's a lot of free ultimate charge as well.
Yeah.
The Outlaws got caught in a position where they couldn't disengage back. Boink and Raucus got blown up so quick that they didn't have the speed boost to get them out.
Carpe uses his grab after Linkster, and because he's able to go, pick up those 2 eliminations, then push down and put down damage in the spawn. He's about halfway back to another one.
Oh, and there's every possibility he may have that Graviton available late in this
is last fight.
Look, Philly want to take the fight close so it does go longer, giving Carpe more of a chance to charge that up. So keep an eye on that percentage at the top left of your screen. Having a Transcendence, by the way, for the Fusion is huge. The Outlaws now might be out of options. They have their own Transcendence. Movement needs to break the deadlock with a massive Shatter. and he's looking for it, but the fusion out slippery. Poco, though, almost gets caught out. He goes very low. That's the trendsetter. So Raucus, he goes for it first. Boombox hold on to Wiz for the time being. Has a massive shatter from Sato there, man. Oh, Poco! Yeah, the nail driven in, but Poco is the hammer on top. Neptuno taken down by the self-destruct of Dante, but it's not enough from the Outlaws here. A big shatter from Uma. Can they turn this around? Sound barrier now for Dante. Muma points also there. Getting rid of EQO, he would be huge, but Sato, what a massive charge to take Boink out of the fight, despite the sound barrier being present. What a big turnaround, and the Philadelphia Fusion hold down the fort. Now we're into overtime, but Raucus and Ahart don't get there. And that is called getting the rug pulled out from under you. The Outlaws start strong with a statement round, but the Fusion outlast them in map 1.
It's about as close of a map 1 as you can get there. You know, for a second, it looked like Mumo was going to be able to turn things with the shatter, but then Boink gets charged by Sato into the wall. Philadelphia, just too many players there. They win map number 1 here against the Outlaws. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Solidly and not going for much of bells and whistles in terms of damage dealers.
Yeah, once they force the Outlaws with a roster out there for map number 1 to go to triple tank, triple support without really like their set roster in there, a little bit of a different look from the Outlaws in map number 1, they're able to take advantage, but not as much of an advantage as you would think. The Outlaws still put up a really good fight.
I mean, having Dante on your team who can, as it was quoted by many coaches or players close to him, can sort of play everything. Still, though, it's a matter of being used to having a structure, you know, with players that normally are playing no damage dealer roles and maybe playing a bit more independently. Now you have to completely change that approach entirely. So I do wonder, like, you know, Philadelphia preferring to go for more of a triple support based setup, or will they be well prepared at the moment for a damage dealer heavy meta? Maybe not, but they look good in this one, and they were able to get the better of the Outlaws here by not getting ahead of themselves. They tried the double sniper. They said, I wonder if we can beat them on our own terms, but their use of Sombra combined, you know, with someone like Linkster on the Soldier 76, none of those Philly snipers were ever able to opt into a 1 versus 1 setup.
No, this is an important match for Philadelphia as their schedule's been extremely tough. When you take a look at it for Stage 2, you had NYXL, Spitfire, NYXL again. You know, up until today, you know, all 3 of those teams undefeated. You got the Shock there at the end, currently undefeated. You know, we talked to the pre-show, potentially like 5 undefeated teams to Stage. They would have actually ran into 3 of them throughout it. The Outlaws, not exactly a gimme win. Same with Toronto. We'll just skip over the Florida one. But, you know, other than that, just a really tough schedule here.
In all fairness, they had lost to the Mayhem previously.
Yeah, true, yeah. I mean, the Mayhem's one win is against Philly, right?
But, I mean, this is a must-win. It's as simple as that for both teams, essentially. But Philly, who are getting to the end of their stage already. Some substitutions coming in now, as we probably not surprised to see. Cool Matt comes in for Lynxer here. So again, Houston, make that switch up, bring the, you know, the main sort of flex tank player into the fold.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Cool Matt and Spree at times. I know Cool Matt played a lot of time last year with Muma. They have really good synergy. They played together for a very long time. This also frees up potentially Dante to end up playing Zarya. So you keep Dante in the game. It also allows you to play some Sombra compositions if you want. Cool Matt also does play some damage dealers. Played Soldier 76, lead cast of Payback, where playing Soldier, playing damage dealer roles.
Yeah.
So also provide some flexibility in that regard.
He and now one of the assistant coaches of the Outlaws, Clockwork, used to both play a bit of defense in their day. But the Temple of Anubis is coming up now in this series, and the Outlaws have probably already shown us now that we should expect to see a different composition from them than what we saw on Busan, with the changes up in their composition now. I mean, again, both these teams just, you know, they're probably trying to gauge their own strength, Matt, because going up against two of the top teams and, you know, getting a decent result has to make you think, wow, you know, we took a map off these guys. Like, we must be pretty strong.
And on defense for the Outlaws, playing the Winston, you're probably scared if Philly decides to bust out Carpe on like Widowmaker or something like that.
I mean, he did not look good on Widow against New York on this map, Matt. Like, generally was not able to get much done. Jonak was able to 1v1 him at the end of that.
It's interesting, you know, you play, you know, all these crazy mechanically skilled, you know, damage dealer roles for a while, and then you get taken off of it to play something else. It's kind of difficult to go back into Overwatch League game shape.
It looks like Philly don't want to do that anyway, Matt. They do want to stay like with a triple tank setup.
I mean, I do think with the way the meta is right now, you have to be good at this.
Also,
there's no way around.
And they work themselves to the bone to develop their 3-3 composition to a point where it's satisfactory. Remember, stage 1 was okay for them. And then they said, we're really trying to build this composition up, so they're going to keep using it now. The Fusion have made their way to the point pretty directly, if I'm honest with you. Raucus tries to go for some kind of banger rank sleeked up. No connection to be seen there. He's forced into the back room, and Sato maybe not aware that he's there, but now Raucus' presence will be revealed. He's trying to keep Ahan up, but the front line of the Outlaws may be suffering now as Muma gets jumped on, the high ground being chased down, and Sato is able to find him. Raucus cannot keep his main tank alive.
Oh, I mean, they've just pushed Raucus into this corner on the Ana, which he can't. I mean, we're watching from his POV, and I love that. You see, can't get any line of sight on any of his teammates to provide any type of healing. That's why usually when you see teams run the Ana on defense, they try and position the Ana up on the high ground. The Outlaws never controlled the high ground there. Philadelphia just storms on in.
And you saw how desperately Raucus was trying to heal Muma up. But Sato, when he jumped on Muma, he threw down a bubble, even though it was a Winston 1v1, to prevent any healing from the rest of the Outlaws to keep their main tank alive.
Philly has an opportunity to finish this real quick.
This is definitely Snowball City. Big discrepancy in terms of Graviton surges, of course. Boink will have that sound barrier fairly soon, but the Transcendence, or lack thereof from the Outlaws, may prove to be an issue. They're going to push forward now. Carpe is going to be ready. They might have actually caught Muma out here. This is devastating for them. Graviton surge to make sure they can keep the Reinhardt in place, and Poco drops in a bit of a gift, but it's actually Boombox who goes down. Coolmat gets the better in the bomb exchange, and now at 5 players, the Fusion have to push on. Losing Neptuno, though, that's the last straw. They have to get out, and they've used ultimates in this fight. They've gone to waste.
It's a big self-destruct from Coolmat that catches Boombox, where I think he's just in this side alleyway, and he's not able to make it out in time. And I could see Poco's face on the stage just going to like put his head down and then lift it up. Like he knew that was a big opportunity there for Philly.
You get it right. You grab Muma, try and get the Reinhardt out straight away
too.
But again, that nano boost there from Raucus was probably going to get used at some stage in that fight. Still, the Transcendence is there for Philly, but
you have Transcendence to keep Sato up if he dives in,
or if you get grabbed.
Yeah. You could also just kind of like use the Transcendence to kind of like move in, get Sato primal, force a ton of charge on the Carpe, let him put down some more damage, maybe farm up a grab real quick.
Still, it doesn't look great. The ultimate offering from Philly does not look nearly as splendid as it did prior. Not quite the smorgasbord they would have liked. Dante waiting for an opportunity now to let that grab go. He does spot his opposite number there, and there it goes. Grab is laid down. It was just as Poco got knocked onto the low ground. Still a 1-for-1 trade, though. Both main tanks having gone down. And Carpe in a very strong position on the point and very charged up. Dante is trying to work his way in from the outside and carve some of these players off the Philly lineup, but they're playing quite sneakily here behind the pillars, trying to stay out of his line of sight in general. Rally coming out from Ahan there. He was stunned up briefly, but it was EQO to go down in that fight. And you can see, even though Philly are fighting, they're doing it while walking backwards.
And that would have been a cleaner fight from the Outlaws if Muma would have stayed alive. because when the grab comes down from Dante, they actually use the Transcendence. Boombox pops that ultimate, but Raucus actually connects with everybody inside of the grab with a biotic grenade, so they're immune. They can't get any healing.
Speaking of which,
but there was no follow up though, because you couldn't have the Reinhardt get in there and swing. Everybody kind of had to back up for the Outlaws.
So now we've come full circle essentially on Philadelphia's ultimate economy. The grab is available for them, but by the way, Dante managed to charge up yet another one in that previous fight. So Carpe cannot get ahead in terms of who has the grab and who doesn't.
Now you do have Philadelphia opting into the Reinhardt matchup. Sato a little bit more comfortable. We've seen better play from him on Winston as opposed to Reinhardt. I know we highlighted in the pre-show some of the stats of Muma and Reinhardt. It's been very good throughout the season this far.
Here comes the push here. Rally from the Fusion. Carpe obviously setting up for a Graviton surge here. The Outlaws Muma going to go for a shatter. He actually gets Carpe, but the sound barrier is going to keep him alive. Grabs from both sides now as the Outlaws are drawn in for a big old bear hug with the Fusion. Self-destruct. This could be bad. Muma was knocked out of the way, but no one from the Outlaws was in line of sight of the blast. Now feeling very split. Some players on the low ground, some up. But Carpe's able to win out the 1v1 in that Zarya matchup. Sleep going on towards Sada there. He was taken out of the mix, and that's why I let Muma go for a shadow like that one, but he goes down in trying to do so. Caught up by EQO, and Carpe now is almost at full charge, and he's ready to build up another grab if he's given the room to do so, but he might not even have an opportunity for that. The Outlaws are now getting shoved straight off of the point. The Philadelphia Fusion still have 5 players, and Neptuno is quickly going to be rejoining them now. Muma dropping in on the wrecking ball, stunned immediately, a lot of damage. He's just able to get away, or not, as Poco catches him on the heel as he tries to escape. 2 ticks now, permanent progress for the Philadelphia Fusion, Matt, and they are looking good. Graviton just to get rid of Dante here, and Ahan does not want to walk into that one, but he has to get there somehow. At the end of the day, he doesn't even make it back to the point.
Yeah, Philly does set a pretty good time. They storm through point A. They have a lot of ultimates, not able to storm right through and take point B, but still, to be able to complete the map with 2 minutes and 33 in the bank, you're very happy if you're a Philly fan. We'll be back with the Houston Outlaw attack right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Halfway through the Temple of the Anubis, and the players on your screen, Philadelphia Fusion, managed to finish the map with a respectable time bank. 2 minutes and 33 seconds that we'll have to work with. By the way, now's the time to vote for your 2009 All-Star Game, presented to you by Intel. Starters at the overwatchleague.com/2000. There's no way, 2019.
I was like, I'm going back in time.
Yeah, I'm going back to when Lynx's last prescription was. There's no way for you to vote for me to escape getting rolled again in the talent match. So if that existed, I would tell you how to do it, because, I mean, one man can only lose so much dignity, but that'll be happening as well at some point. It's going to be a lot of fun at the tail end of stage 2.
I blame our last talent match loss on coaching.
yeah. Pavane, bro, never even hit me up. Never even.
You gotta help us out.
I mean, we had sideshow coaches, and I guess when he's dead for most of the game, it's easy for him to call.
Sideshow is basically just calming the whole time. The respawn screen, but yeah, let's come out with the Reinhardt version of 3-3 here. Philly, they're gonna run the Winston. They love to run Winston. They only kind of move off of it once they're absolutely forced to.
Sato just loves the flexibility, right?
Yeah.
You can make a lot of your own decisions here, and where you go as Winston doesn't necessarily mean that your team will die as a result, which is always nice.
And you run this in here instead of the Ana. You have the Discord Orb for when the Winston or the Diva from Philadelphia dive on in to provide that extra burst damage to take them out. Ana really susceptible to the dive, although you do have the high ground here. Obviously, the Outlaws don't know before their attack happens. They would be gifted the high ground, but Zenyatta very effective on the high ground as well.
Sato drops in here. Muma probably not his ideal target, but with the rest of his team focusing on him, Reinhardt and a Discord Orb on him, it's definitely where you want to be going. Sato just was free to pick and choose his intended target and then collapse. Oh, didn't have time to get the Primal Rage out, though. I don't know if that was intended. Either way, the Outlaws able to get rid of Boombox as well, and yet they're going to start using some ultimates now because they realize they've got a chance of actually winning this fight. Cool Map being de-suited. Dante must go down now, and the Fusion get in. They may have saved their bacon here.
They use Rally, so that actually was winnable for Houston. They kill Sato before he uses Primal Rage. They use Rally, and they still have Dante and Coolmat on the point, and Arhan backs up to the underpass by the bridge. So they're actually the two players on the point, Coolmat and Dante. They're out of range of getting any of the armor.
But I can believe if that was miscommunication, because the Outlaws probably before Sato went down were thinking, all right, we're going to reset after this fight. So they had to switch gears very quickly. Didn't quite work out. Even the best teams struggled to make those small adjustments. Oh, Dante, you don't want to be where he is right now. His shield gets ripped off him, and he's low, and Carpe was trained on him the whole time. Now this is actually a reset for the Houston Outlaws. But they can't really go anywhere, Matt. That's the problem. Mutual knockdown there as Muma got stunned up, and this is going to get staggered out longer than Houston would like.
Yeah, as Coolmat now demeched. Muma actually switched to the Wrecking Ball and then now back to Reinhardt, so you lose any progress you would have made towards an Earth Shatter on the first one. So Coolmat, suffering the inevitable fate of a lot of Diva players. The bad part here, if you're the Outlaws, is you probably would have liked to, force an engagement, which would have had Philadelphia invest some more ultimates in. They only have to use Primal Rage there to, get the fight win. I mean, you hold on to all these ults.
That displacement that Winston causes to the enemy team during Primal was what destroyed the Outlaws in that fight. Very cheaply won for Philly.
But because they're playing the Reinhardt version of the 3-3, the Outlaws, they're going to play pretty close up together. If Sato plays this right, he's going to get Primal Rage again very quickly.
Remember, Winston's Tesla gun will attach to whoever's close enough, really. So theoretically, he can be hitting 6 people at once. It's not unheard of.
Pay attention to how quick he goes from, let's say, 65 all the way up.
Oh, I like that little rotation there from Dante. Thought they could catch out Boombox, who was on the bridge. He has to go for a Transcendence here, which is still a good result for the Outlaws, but they've also invested the ultimates as well. So it's a trade for Transcendences, and Boombox, Boink, should I say, had already used the Sound Barrier. Houston have used all of their support ultimates here, and they still haven't gotten a kill yet in this fight. That is not efficient use of ultimates, but they're trying to dig their feet in and really invest in this fight and try and win, but it hasn't worked so far. And late in the fight, Philly just get a Sound Barrier, which gives them so much durability. They stay topped up after the big, powerful ultimates come out from Houston. And as the smoke clears, Philly stand tall, and Houston have 20 seconds left to attack.
Yeah, I mean, Houston wants to take real estate because they're playing the Reinhardt, and they want to force the Philadelphia Fusion down to them, but Philly just kiting perfectly, just moving around the map. Coolmat's going to get stunned up here.
That fight was an unmitigated disaster for Houston. They tried to get cute, Matt. They tried to catch Boombox out. He had Transcendence, and now he's 85% of his way to the next one. He'll probably have it in this next fight. Houston have to go now. They do have a Graviton Surge, so Boombox does need to get that Transcendence ready to go right now, or he won't be able to keep his team alive. No! Just a little bit too late. Boombox goes down before he has a chance to use it. Philadelphia will try and stall this fight out, but it doesn't make much of a difference because Houston are in overtime. They've just bought their way back into this game. Whether it's a stay of execution or a second win, Houston are still in it.
And now they have a better opportunity to land a big Earth Shatter. When you move on to point B and there's only the 2 entranceways back onto the point, players just line up here. So let's see if Muma can land a big Shatter.
He's going to get crushed. Sato comes out. He switched to the Reinhardt now, making it much harder for Muma to connect with a Shatter even if he'd wanted to. You see Neptuno very low in the corner, but also very slippery. And the Outlaws, you start to see the sails billow with a bit of wind as they come forward, but the Fusion are able to slow them down again.
Yeah, and Philly needed to play aggressive on Namuma there. They know he has the Earth Shatter, and they don't want to give up space. And let's say they start losing the Shield War in terms of Reinhardt. you're getting set up in a position where it's really they're going to burn down the shield, they're going to shatter, they're going to just roll through.
They'll get a stun, you know, with our hand moving in.
It's a bit harder now, but you can still, there's a lot of areas on the side where you can get around the Reinhardt or behind, you land one of those stuns.
You are furious if you're Philly. You are 1 second away from having won the map there, potentially with Boombox getting Transcendence. Oh, Carpe! Boombox!
Down.
Okay, now needs to do something with that Transcendence because from the high ground, it was cool. Matt ate it. Carpe maybe wasn't ready for that one. Philly tried to get a little bit aggressive, but it's backfired on them. Movement down. Sato also taken out, so both Reinhardts are missing and Dante's close to his grab. And Philly, without one, they're going to have to rely on the Transcendence of Boombox if it comes out. But Carpe melts Dante and Co down.
Oh, a charged up Zarya is so scary. He actually flings that grab in from long distance, and Coolmat eats it up. I mean, you see, you can
can't
build
go
up
for that.
On Anubis, especially with how the chokes are. I mean, he's going to build up to another grab very, very quick. I mean,
that defense matrix extends in game like a good 10 meters out in front of Diva while expanding. Coolmat is just sat on top of the bridge. So okay, well, I'll just.
And I wonder, Coolmat. So Coolmat here in the Baby Diva mode, Pilot Diva, trying to farm up another mech. I wonder if they kind of have a gauge and maybe they'll kind of just push in. You see Poco up top. Yeah, no, they're not going to decide to push in yet. So thought maybe for a second you could have speed boosted in, final second, take him out. But now it looks like Houston, Poco just scouting for information. Houston's going to go here on this left-hand side. Try their chances going this way.
Philly don't want to give them space. Once more, Matt, they do what they did in the first fight here on point B. Now they step back a little bit and they try to go for a bit of an Earth Shatter. It was a cute attempt, but Movers is much better. EQO goes down. But Arhan is taken out by Neptuno here, and the Outlaws, while they are grouped up, they are extremely low and have no burst healing available whatsoever with the Brig off the table. Muma charges in, probably just to try and farm some more ult percent, but again, Carpe is the janitor.
And it's so hard for Houston. It seems like the starts of these pushes go well, and then the one player they can't afford to lose, they always lose. Right there, you lose Arhan. That is all of your burst healing onto your tanks, seed drops. You don't have the opportunity to get a rally. He's at 80%, would have got it during that fight.
Dante spent a fair while holding this grab, Matt. 2 fights, he hasn't really been able to use it properly. The first time, Carpe burst him down before he realized it.
And they try and engage with Soundbar in the last fight, the Outlaws, and the Philadelphia Fusion just rotate back out with their own speed boost, and they just get around the poles.
They disengaged. They did get 2 players shattered, but they were able to keep them alive.
Where's Sato going?
Don't know what he's doing.
That is an interesting play. All right.
Really? At a time like this, looks like he was caught up by the rest of the Outlaws. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We're going to have to, because the fight won't stop for us to decide. And there's 35 seconds left. Carpe trying to play it safe here. Dante trying to get aggressive, take some space, get some free capture progress here for the Outlaws. They can try and finish this off now. That's going to be the Graviton Surge. Transcendence comes out from Raucus here, but Poik's the one that's taken down by the self-destruct. This has to be a good one from Coolmat over the top. No, it doesn't find anything. The Outlaws now at a player disadvantage, but they get EQO to even the odds. Sato gets himself a bubble from Carpe. Look at the damage coming from Carpe. He barrels straight into the side of the Outlaws, and he gets Arhan carved straight out immediately. Poco trying to do some damage here with a Bunny Blaster, and I don't think Coolmat realizes he's even there. So Poco, big harassment, tries to get the D-suit with Carpe going down. The Outlaws still have numbers and damage to boot on the point. Coolmat gets D-suited now by EQO, and the Soldier 76 can have a field day, and that's what he's looking for now. Sound Barrier helps the Fusion push forward, but a well-timed Transcendence from Raucus allows the Outlaws to set back up through the Catacombs. Switch to McCree for Carpe here. It's spicy. I like it. Sitting behind Sato's shield, he's pretty comfortable, but he rolls forward. That's very dangerous. Muma comes in. 3 from Moomer in that fight, and that is huge. The Fusion put themselves right in the way of the swinging hammer. They count their chickens before they hatch, and now the egg is on their face. The Outlaws finish the map.
In the final seconds, again, the Outlaws take point A in the final seconds, barely take point B there to force us into extra time. They have no time left, though, in their time bank. Philadelphia still, they have 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in a good spot to take the map. We'll be right back.
I love the Outlaws. They refuse to go down in those last couple of fights. Muma, what a huge 3 kills from him at the end of the fight. The grab obviously helped. Carpe switching McCree probably helped a little bit. Also, the fact that he rolled forward probably also helped.
I was going to say, the switch off of Brig and Zarya probably helped a little bit there towards the end.
But as it stands, the Outlaws having no time to bank.
Yeah.
Have to hold Philly off completely. This must be essentially a full hold.
So the Outlaws run Liana again on defense. So let's see if Raucus can do a better job of staying up on the high ground. So last time he got forced down to the low ground, it was really difficult to keep him up. You see he's in the back there as Sato can gain that information, has a good idea where he is. When he's playing on top of that little overhang, there's no other spot to rotate to the high ground on. So he's going to be forced to drop down here and rotate out. But he can go out towards the bridge here.
I see, that's smart. I like that. Now, when Philly did this, the Outlaws tried to rotate to the bridge and catch Boombox out with that Graviton surge. So Philly knows they're going to be encircled if they commit to the point. They try it anyway. Boomba took a massive hit early there. No repair pack for him. No, it's actually going to be a biting grenade from Raucus to keep him up. Extra burst heal is always good. Kumat, though, Matt, already desuited.
Yeah, and that play is set up by Sato. And Sato jumps onto Raucus here. That actually breaks the line of sight from all the supports of the Houston Outlaws on a cool mat. He gets D-maxed.
Oh, Muma going down now. Not a good sign for the Outlaws. The Fusion huffed and they puffed and finally brought them down. And Philadelphia Fusion will take map number 2 in this series now and put themselves already on the brink of taking the entire thing away. As strong as the Outlaws have looked, Matt, not quite enough for Philly, who playing very no-nonsense today.
Yeah, it's been a very close series through the first 2 maps, but Philadelphia, just the teamwork that they've established, having this roster for a very long time, pulled out the first 2 maps.
Up time, we'll be back after the breakdown with the rest of this series. See you in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Огонь по готовности.
Into the iris.
Philly's trying to get back in the win column, and they're off to a pretty solid start so far. Up 2-0 over the Outlaws at the half. Welcome back, everybody. Malik here. We got Sideshow and Zoe here at halftime. Guys, very close match thus far. It seemed like the Houston Outlaws were going to steamroll at the top of the match, but then Philly, they woke up, and they've made this a close one so far.
Yeah, and like all of the previous matches we've seen between these two teams throughout 2018, they always keep it close. It ends up either being a really close 4-mapper, or many times it's gone all the way to 5. So still an opportunity here for Houston to come back. And they look so good on Busan. I think even though they actually ended up losing it in the end, this has got to be one of Houston Outlaws' best maps. And as they saw when they put up such an incredible performance against the Vancouver Titans as well.
Right. Right, you're right about that. Well, let's get this halftime moving because there's a lot to unpack. I believe, Sideshow, you have an Insights powered by Intel for us, don't you?
I do indeed, and I'm going to break down that composition that we saw on Busan from them. One of the reasons I think it is their best map. It's weird. Don't run it in ranked, or maybe do after you've learned how it works. But it revolves around this Orisa and Torbjorn setup that forces an enemy team to try and contest it. Doesn't matter what they're running. If they're running the Orisa, if they're running whatever, the triple tank, triple support. And these kind of positions are where the flankers set up, the Soldier 76 and the Sombra. So Soldier 76 will try and take these long sight lines on the enemy team as they attack. So the Soldier's going to be trying to put down these kind of flanking sight lines while the Sombra harasses from behind. So as you see in this fight, when we play it out, it's actually Dante on the Sombra that causes a lot of pressure behind onto Boombox up at the top left. And as he does pressure at the same time as Linksa flanks, they are able to collapse onto people. So it's a composition that's designed around having the bait of the Torbjorn turret and then spreading flankers around and doing huge damage to them. So look again, Boombox takes a little bit of peppering from Linksa, and then Linksa's able to get value out of the Tag Visor. Now Poco's busy, so he can't use his defense matrix, but even if Poco had been there, they have the Sombra to be able to try and hack as well. So they can still get value out of what is normally not that good an ultimate. And it's such a cool strat. And it works so well on Busan. Because of that, Busan is so big, it's so open, you can kind of wrap around your opponent without them being able to punish you. Right. What is an enemy team supposed to do? Are they supposed to run at the Sombra, run at the Soldier? They're just going to get kited all the time. You have to deal with the Torbjorn, and then they just come in around. It's a creative stroke of genius, and I love that they've been able to find success with it.
You know, this is what I was expecting with these multiple DPS comps. I was expecting to see people just get swarmed, and that was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you so much for that, Sideshow. Now, I gotta say, I feel kind of bad about earlier. I was kind of giving Sato a little flank with the whole Coca-Cola drinking game thing during the pre-show. He's actually been performing pretty well so far this game.
Yeah, but see, I love that kind of moment. I love that when we're underestimating a player and they pop up on stage, it makes us happy. We don't want any player to perform badly, obviously. So seeing them going against the odds, going against the stats more so even, is actually fantastic. And it was all Sato on Anubis. I do think that he really got the better end of that tank matchup against Muma. Muma really got picked off a lot by the Philadelphia Fusion, and Sato just did such a great job at splitting up the Outlaws. He really got so much value out of his ultimates. So I was very impressed with Sato's overall performance.
Yeah, it's my opinion that Sato kind of lives or dies by how well Philadelphia Fusion is working as a team. And I think Sato and the whole of Philadelphia Fusion have actually managed to click today, and their teamwork is going well. This is a comparison of their Reinhardt play on top of Anubis. There was a bit of a time discrepancy, but it's per 10 minutes. So this is kind of how it averaged out. You can see Sato's actually getting the better end of it, but his entire team is getting the better end of it.
Yeah.
And one of the big differences that we might see moving forward throughout the rest of the maps is that Eichenwald is very much kind of a head-to-head, Rhine v Rhine. You are just going like man-to-man with the other Reinhardt.
As we usually do.
Sure, exactly.
Mano y mano.
Yeah, and
no pun intended.
and Muma has been a lot better at being able to land these clutch earth shatters over the course of it. So I'm looking for the turnaround on Eichenwald.
I agree on that, but I also feel like Outlaws look out of sorts. They do not look well coordinated right now. So
I don't want to put out a flank on Muma for losing this matchup.
No,
but it seems like there's a lot of times where he's not getting the proper healing. Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, I think it's a matter of discipline from the Houston Outlaws, I think, because when they see opportunities to go aggressive, they're kind of rushing into it. They're not playing a kind of the safer style that you need to. Okay. So there are times when they could have won the fights. They could have turned things, but they throw an ult away that they needed to save, or a player pushes too far forward that they shouldn't have, or they don't realize when to back out. They need to tighten
half the team has been backing out. Like Arhan is like going back
the others
Tamal
going
and
forward.
Anubis. So
they need to tighten things up at the half.
Exactly.
I've been wondering what's going on with Arhan. So, all right, how do the Houston Outlaws get back into this map and make your validation, your pick, the right pick, Zoe?
All right, I did pick them, didn't I? Just what we just said. They have to tighten it up, but the communication needs to be a little bit more spot on. I do feel there were a lot of disconnects coming into this, but the map pool, as you already mentioned, should be actually going in their favor potentially, or at least make them play a little bit more to their strength.
Yeah, I can definitely see on Eichenwald, Muma's Reinhardt having a huge impact. He kind of got beaten up by Bumper in the Vancouver Titans game, but I think Muma's going to come out here looking for vengeance, and his Earthshatters have previously been really good. So Eichenwald should be a spicy matchup between these two main tanks.
All right, well, you guys heard it. Eichenwald coming up next. Can the Philadelphia Fusion, they're one map away, pull off the victory, or will the Houston Outlaws pull off a reverse sweep? We're getting ready to find out in a bit, so stay tuned. They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
There's no real particular reason for Philly and Houston to have a rivalry. There's not a huge story behind it. But they always give us incredibly good games. I think Josh brought it up at the halftime show. It's either a really close 4-map affair, or in many cases it goes to 5 maps. Now, if the Outlaws want that to be the case, they have to win the next 2 maps. Otherwise, losing just 1 map will give Philly the series. Philly wants to break through after a rough stage. So
what we've seen from these teams in the past is usually like they were really close 3-1, or we had a lot of 3-2, Game 5 series between these two teams. If you're Philadelphia, you know you need to win this to keep your stage playoff chances alive. Any maps you can get, like if you 4-0, that's massive. I think Philadelphia, though, just planning for the overall season playoff, right? Just keep that pace going. They know it's a long year. I think Houston, they know, 3-5, they got to make up some games, right? Like this is one where they're not favored to win. It'd be a nice to win.
Absolutely. They did play this map, the Outlaws, against the Titans in their last match. And, they sort of opened up with something a little bit different, Matt. They managed to get rolling on the attack, but they eventually got ground down. Neither team, as you can see, has had success on Eichenwald so far. And both, I'm quite sure, have been practicing this map specifically. That's kind of exciting to me.
Yeah, and I think I know as we see the fly-through go, where the map would end inside of the castle. When you go from, when you unlock the payload on point A, and then you take it from A to B, I think that's pretty, 3-3 heavy. And then I would say the end of the map is 3-3 heavy. You can run some interesting stuff at the beginning here. You can run, the Pharah, you can run some Sombra. It's just pretty difficult. We'll see, Carpe, does he want to stay on this? No.
I would say if Carpe does play the 76, he'll try and get around the far right side and get up on the high ground behind the point.
It's interesting, though. You usually don't see, Reinhardt without Zarya, Ryan Diva with a 76. made a little bit more sense if you would have had the Zarya in play. It looks like Carpe, they're going to go back to spawn. Probably going to play the Zarya here, yep.
Yeah. He got back to spawn with a foot in his behind for sure. So they chased him out.
And they see Winston on the other side instead of playing the Reinhardt, which usually, you kind of move on to the point here. There's not a lot of high ground for the Winston to kind of jump around, move. You like the Reinhardt in play, but Philly's so strong, in terms of their Winston 3-3 play, they opt into the mirror.
Now, I feel like they're comfortable playing in that style and allowing Sato just to move around and try and go for engagements or try and find picks on his own. We saw Sato did a great job of going 1-1 against Muma and just chasing him around. So early damage trades favoring the Outlaws quite heavily here. Without a Reinhardt shield, the Philadelphia Fusion are taking a lot of poke. But now, once they can actually get to grips with the Outlaws, you can see it starting to shift a little bit. Muma's down to half now. That's quite dangerous. Arhan has also had far better days here. And Dante, he's lucky to be alive right now. I was surprised the Fusion didn't push into him. Dante got discorded and didn't have any barriers available. That is not ideal. The Outlaws needed him to play probably a little more conservatively. And now Sato's going to make life even worse for them. Primal Rage going to be displacing the Outlaws so much, making it so much easier to isolate individual targets.
Yeah, and the Outlaws decide not to invest any ultimates. Raucus gets the nano boost just as Dante falls. He may have actually ended up using the nano boost. You have his Zarya, it's pretty charged up.
Pretty
you
valid
keep
target.
that going, yeah. So Philadelphia unlocks the payload here. I know 4 minutes to get from A to B. So you do have 3 support ultimates for the Outlaws. They'll probably look to play this close. You can get close onto the card here, potentially try and force some ultimates out. Really good high ground for the Ana as well.
I do want to examine how both teams use their Winstons, man. I think that's going to be a huge part of this matchup. Muma gets himself the nano boost here, and he gets stunned straight away. It looks like he doesn't really fancy staying around here on the payload, but he doesn't want to get sucked into the grab either. That will be curtains for him. He stays alive, and the sound barrier is going to keep the Outlaws running a little bit longer in this fight. EQO low, forced to back up, gets given a bubble, and now is trying to take shelter inside the Transcendence of Boombox. Coolman attempted a self-destruct, but no one was felled by that one. Now the Outlaws are running out of options a little bit. There's a sound barrier for the Fusion if and when they decide to engage, and it might be now. Carpe does get that one despite Muma putting a Winston bubble down just in front of him and is forced now to go for the Primal Rage. Sato tries to go deep map, but he gets stunned up immediately. This self-destruct might save him though if it connects, and it does not. Sato trying to make something happen with that one, but neither team have lost a player in the last few moments.
Yeah, you're going to have the Philadelphia Fusion though getting another Graviton Surge in Primal Rage here, so you're going to see them start to pick up some eliminations on the card. As what you saw there was interesting from the Outlaws. They end up using their self-destruct and just trying to push them back through the door. But what Philadelphia realizes after that is they didn't really need to worry about a big combo. Dante ends up using the grab, and it just gets Carpe. And
they get sound barrier.
Yeah, they just set the sound barrier. It keeps them up. There's no threat of dying.
I like that Poco throws a self-destruct behind the Outlaws who are trying to gang up on Sato. Right? Sato dives in, he gets stunned up. And Poco's saying, well, this might force him away and allow us to keep Sato alive. Or we could get more than we bargained for. We could trade Sato's death maybe for 2 or more of theirs. So you could start thinking, oh, Muma, he was teetering on the edge there. He's kept himself alive, but Sato needs to take a breather for just a moment. Muma's not going to be able to get away. That is too much damage from the Fusion. And now a Transcendence is going to make it much easier for Philly just to lean into this flagging Outlaw squad. Dante has to go huge here. He's almost been knocked off the map twice, but he is charged up. A big source of damage for the Outlaws, and the Philly Fusion has split themselves with EQO going the edge. That might herald the end of the fight here for Philly. Neptuno is going to eat that grenade. Oh, how? We watched it. Coolman and Arhan both going down to the self-destruct. Poco, now Dante needs to stay alive. Neptuno does get caught up there, entrenched with the hammer of Muma. Not able to get away. Had Neptuno stayed alive, it could have been nasty. It could still be rough for the Outlaws here, Matt. Dante's caught up inside a grab, and a lot of damage is being heaped into that one. The Fusion front-loading all the deeps. And now it's going to be Arhan on a desuited Coolmat to try and stay in it.
Yeah, and EQO, you knew they wanted to invest in that fight when EQO comes back on Wrecking Ball. So that is one where they double down. Big self-destruct there from Poco. And you know what Raucus did that time is probably what they would have liked to do on point A. They actually use the nano boost onto Dante to keep him up. Sato probably going back to spawn. You're going to play Reinhardt here. Reinhardt on the final stage of the map, almost necessary. Even when Reinhardt's not really super in the meta, you would see Reinhardt come out at this stage.
It is one big choke, Matt. Let's be honest. And both teams kind of need the Reinhardt so they don't get taken down before the fight begins. Self-destruct over the top. Sato gets moving here. The rest of the Outlaws couldn't back Muma up. They were busy hiding from the self-destruct. Now with point going down, the Outlaws have 0 mobility. And half of their team was able to escape. The other half, well, not so lucky.
That kind of buys them this whole corner. That's such a difficult corner to make it around. Is Carpe getting closer to a grab. Definitely going to get there before Dante. It could end up putting the map in Philly's favor.
He keeps his charge from the previous fight. Dante has to start from 0 once more. Muma wants to play aggressive to try and make a play and get a kill, but doing so could just turn around and get him blown up straight away. Ahan, thanks to the rally, is able to stay alive here, and the Earth Shatter only catches it towards Carpe, but getting rid of the Zarya could be big for the Outlaws. They cannot complete the kill though. Boombox, his Transcendence keeps Carpe alive, and that energy intact. Raucus has his own Transcendence here though, and he is saving it. No one on Philly has been able to force that out of him. So the Outlaws can at least take solace in that fact. Philly seem to be waiting here for a chance to go. They split back up, now coming back together. It's going to be a rally that will begin the start of the fight now. Carpe, Graviton Surge straight into the corner. He gets caught up in it himself, and it doesn't go very well for the Fusion at all. Sato and EQO caught up. Carpe chased down, and the rest of Philly can get out.
They were trying to get everybody topped off a little bit in terms of HP and then go in with the Graviton Surge. And all right, Neptuno looks like she's trying to make it out there. Boombox making it out as well. So you do have Boombox who was able to farm up, getting another Transcendence here. So you did end up spending the Graviton Surge for Philadelphia. Houston invests their Transcendence into it. You're going to end up with both big support ultimates, so your Transcendence and your Sound Barrier here for Philly. It's a self-destruct that opens things up. Sound Barrier comes out from Houston, so now you know they have nothing if you're Philadelphia.
And now you have the Transcendence, but are you going to use this aggressively? They can't really with the self-destruct. Sato's getting pressured too much. He was trying to keep his team protected, and now without the Reinhardt in the picture, it's a two-man Earth Shatter from Muma. The follow-up is definitely going to be there. And Muma's just going to chase down that Brig, but now with the Sound Barrier, he realizes he may have overextended somewhat. He backs up a little bit. Discord Orb is no longer on him, so he can play a little bit more aggressively. Notice that Poco's in the back there quite low. Poco playing so passively, maybe preventing him from being able to get close enough to be ready to eat that grab. But Dante and Muma still went down on the backside of the fight. Still arguably the two most important heroes of the side of the Outlaws. Coolmat caught. I don't know if they did damage. They do. They catch him out.
Poco somehow stays alive through all that. Does a really nice job getting back to the choke, getting a Harmony Orb from Boombox. So you want to push up here if you're Philadelphia. Get real estate on the card. Keep it going. Force an OT. Carpe going to have this grab yet again. They're going to be going up this against this Transcendence. I think you probably use the grab early. Transcendence comes out. Just try and keep everybody alive, and then that's your best chance to push it over the line for Philly.
Dante a long way away from his Graviton Surge. We'll have to wait for it later on. Carpe, despite not having energy, is going to go for the Graviton Surge anyway. It's going to be a Transcendence thrown in the middle of it now. Carpe knocked back. Oh, EQO gets caught there, stunned, immediately taken down by Muma. Now on the Outlaws looking good. A player advantage coming forward. They still have 6, and there's the Shatter. It's a big one. Carpe and Go are knocked down, and Boombox desperately trying to hit that Q key to get the Transcendence. He does get it, but it's a little bit too late now. The Fusion are running on fumes, and not much more than that. Sato is pinned up against the wall. Poker will attempt to try and stall this out, but the Sound Barrier for the Outlaws will ensure there's no picks to be found here. Graviton will end it, and the Outlaws prevent the Fusion from finishing Archivolve here. Fusion frustrated as they had about 2.5 minutes or so in that last stage match. They just couldn't get there.
Yeah, it was really good ultimate usage from the Outlaws on the defensive end. Philadelphia got everything they wanted. They were able to force some things out, but the Outlaws started rotating those ultimates towards the end perfectly. A big shatter from Muma at the end. Help them hold on defense. We'll see if they can win it on their attack after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Yes, that is it. You love to see it. Fantastic cosplay down there in the front row. The loudest
awesome.
part of the arena during Outlaws games.
Oh, throwing some shade at Philly.
Hey, bro, that doesn't even
Oh
rhyme.
yeah, we got some free. All right, everybody's just something. I love it, man.
Same rhyme. I don't think fusion and trash rhyme. Maybe in like an American accent. Can I get a second opinion, Matt?
I mean, it's Philly sports. I mean, everybody gets angry going against Philly sports teams. I mean,
That's funny, actually. I looked it up. I found the Philly fusion fan base to be very well mannered.
oh no, they're great. But look, I mean, yeah, I get the Philly fans are waving up at us, right? The Outlaws fans are making the sides.
What's up?
Philly's
man?
trash. It's all right. Like,
How are we doing today? All right.
hey, I've seen Eagles fans. All right,
What's that?
they're
I don't want to know.
you know, they can be hostile towards us New Yorkers. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Here it is. The fire is finally getting dug up. So the Outlaws now will go on the attack, and finishing the map is essentially what they need to do. I thought it's a trek. It's a slog. It's uphill as well.
But we did see the Outlaws have a pretty good first attack against Vancouver. They were able to take the point A pretty quick. It was just that their attack stalled out completely from A to B. So Philly on defense are coming out with Reinhardt. Outlaws, they kind of feel like, I mean, if you're the Outlaws, you feel like you'll take the Reinhardt matchup. We talk about Sato very good on the Winston, Muma good on Winston as well, but you kind of favor Sato a little bit maybe in the Winston matchup. Muma definitely favored in the Reinhardt matchup.
Dante struggling to find energy until he actually used his shields, and then he found plenty. So I digress.
Very difficult to not find energy as Cesaria right now with all the big characters out.
Okay, forced to use personal bubble there. He got taken quite low, remember. Healing only really comes over time with these compositions and not all at once. The fusion have rotated to the point. As of the Outlaws here, both teams are set up. This might be a fight that is decided by the first wave of ultimates that come through. That would have been him. He was the one with the rally, but no, it's been taken away from him. Sato close to a shatter. In fact, Philly are really encroaching a lot of those very impactful, game-changing ultimates. And with that one pick, Matt, it's enough for them to get the edge on the Outlaws, and now they'll just farm them from ultimate percentage.
Yeah, and Arhan in such an important role on the Brigitte. You know, the burst healing available for Brig. And then also, when your Brig dies, you're forced to back out. But what does that do? I mean, everybody on the Philadelphia Fusion can move up, put down some more damage, get their ultimates rather quickly. That's why you see Carpe. It will put down a little bit of extra damage at the end. But when your Zarya is charged up, that little bit extra damage takes that ultimate meter up pretty fast. So he'll have the Graviton Surge already in this next fight.
Shatter comes in. That is just
enormous.
filthy. And the Outlaws walk head first into it. Nothing that could be done. Muma must have had his shield turned perpendicular to that as he tried to guide his team to the point by the left side. But we're going to look at that again. Don't worry.
Yep. Don't have to look at Cool Matt. Just kind of wait around to die.
So obviously it's Sato's here. They know he's here. Oh, okay. The setup from EQO. Really nice job. Okay, Zachary, see? I noticed a Brig stun setup. Stop tweeting about it. It was nicely done, though.
Now we'll see the Outlaws try and move through the choke again. They're going to walk into a grab here, though. A nice grab there from Carpe. Connects with everybody.
Transcendence here inside the grab, but it wouldn't save Mumu, who was knocked out of it. This is looking very good for Philly, Matt. The Outlaws, I'll be honest with you, they haven't really had any fights at advantage here so far in the attack.
Did the Outlaws... Okay, so the Outlaws engaged with Rally, and then they decided to grab once the Rally came out, which forces them to layer both Rally and Transcendence on top of each other, and they get nothing for it. That's pretty brutal there for Houston.
Graviton Surge, at least for Dante. Carpe having used his in the previous fight. Philly are doing a very good job of rationing out those ultimates and using them gainfully. Dante wants the Fusion to play close together here, so he's going to take his time and make sure Poker does not absolutely ruin his day. It would be a match-winning Graviton Surge negation if that would happen, but Moomba again gets caught out, Matt.
Just gets disco. And look, I mean, this farm at the end, it's going to get Carpe right up to another grab. So just these early pickoffs. It was a few times on Anubis we saw Arhan as well get picked off early. This time, though, it's Muma. You know, the one in the grab, there's nothing you can do. He gets charged out of it. He doesn't get the healing, but that one gets picked off a little bit early. But I think he knows Muma that he has to be aggressive. Let's see if they get a stun off here. Bash from behind.
The setup. Again, Ichiro was going in there. Wasn't quite the Earthshatter straight away, but it was saved until a little bit later now. A lot of ultimates being used by the Philadelphia Fusion here, but Poco comes up with the goods. Dante is taken down. He did get the Graviton Surge off, but where's the rest of the backup here for the Houston Outlaws? Unfortunately, the answer is they're all sat in the front row, and they don't have mice and keyboard right now. Raucus has been taken down, and that'll do it. This time, it won't be so close. This time, the series is decided in 3. And the Philadelphia Fusion look very good there to take things away. And they'll be happy about that one. Except Poco, who doesn't really seem to be fazed by too much, but trust me, inside he's jumping for joy. He'll be very pleased about that. Philadelphia, rough stage for them. Getting a win here is very important. And now they absolutely need to make sure they turn this into a sweep here. Map differential for a team like them is going to be very important in the coming days. See you in a moment with map 4.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
The look ahead for these two teams, Matt, is still pretty tough, actually. Stage 2 has definitely given them a fairly rough schedule. For the Outlaws, though, they will be heading off to the Dallas homestand weekend next weekend, and they will actually be taking on Dallas. There will be Houston versus Dallas in Dallas. That is going to be
awesome.
Electrifying, and I'm quite sure the Outlaws would like to shape up a little bit before they hit that particular stage.
Yeah, the Outlaws also play Soul Dynasty, too. So we've seen
Which
really
is
good
always
matches.
a sick rivalry.
Always awesome matches between Houston and Seoul. So definitely excited to get out on the road, go to Dallas. It's awesome here in LA. Dallas should be pretty fun. But I know now with the Outlaws, down 3-0 in this series, they want to obviously get the map win. Still doesn't feel great. This is a series where I think a lot of us on the desk earlier in the day thought this would be more of a coin flip. I mean, the series has been relatively close. It's really the Eichenwald attack
You
for
did
the
pick
Outlaws.
Philly, though, right?
Yeah, the Eichenwald attack for the Outlaws, and then on Anubis, their attack really started to stall out towards the end. It's really where the series kind of got away from them.
Again, a lot of pressure being put on Muma, Matt, in those last moments. Probably thanks to EQO in a big part for helping set that stuff up. So Houston have not played this map yet this year, essentially. We'll see now how it goes down.
Whoa! Everybody just screamed "whoa" in the crowd. They're not going to be running this. Potentially, I mean, I say that. You probably see EQO go for a hook here. You see a lot of, or did they actually teleport him to the high ground?
They could TP to the bridge and try and get more direct hook.
I think Carpe actually messed the teleporter up. I have to take a look at it. Actually, I think he went through the bridge. I think it actually ended up on the low ground. So.
Right. Not what the doctor ordered.
EQO was smiling, laughing a little bit. So.
Well, now Philly go a little bit more standard. I mean, if they can get a chance to play Winston into a Reinhardt setup, looks like they'll like to take that.
But I will say, though, this is one map where you're like, oh, well, there's a ton of verticality. Why wouldn't you play Winston on defense or whatnot? If you can get the Reinhardt and the choke that you see the Outlaws in right now, it forces Philly down there. The issue is you can't have everybody down here, because then everybody will collapse from both sides. You see EQO coming around from one side, Sato coming down the other.
Look at
it's very difficult. You get split off. Yeah.
Completely separated, and there it is.
Yeah,
Ahad goes down. And the Fusion have enough healing that they can sort of recover from that first engagement. That's great from Raucus. On the periphery, finding the headshot. He's in that little side room being pressured down right now. I like that from Muma. Charging in to try and save the day. Carpe can't afford to pay attention to him right now, but a Primal Rage might be the go for Sato here. Yeah, this is not what we want to get caught with an angry Winston. Oh! That's 3 for Sato. And the Outlaws, off the back of their backline, doing a lot of damage, almost got back into that fight, Matt.
You know, I expected Muma to really get the better of Sato today in this tank match, and I think I'm just pleasantly surprised with Sato's play. Like, we know he's a very strong player, but it's like a little bit like OG, right? Where for the Dallas Fuel, he signed us up and down games from OG, but recently we've really seen him rally together some good games. Nice shatter here from Muma, wants to prevent everybody from Philly just coming up at spawn camp, and Philly wants to double down, though. They're going to transcend to try and push through.
The fact that Philly manages to keep 6 people up after the shatter comes in is pretty impressive, but the Transcendence investment will come to naught as the Outlaws were able to grab into that. And I think Houston are probably happy enough with this trade. There's no grab yet for Carpe, but getting rid of the Transcendence feels good.
But I think with how Winston's been used in this stage as opposed to stage 1, where Winston's more effective, I think, in multiple scenarios this stage as opposed to just strictly running the Reinhardt. I think that's where you see players like OG and Sato start to play a bit better.
Oh, there it is. Dante taken down from the high ground. Carpe managed to accost him early. And again, Muma completely separated from the rest of his team. And now we get to this call all placed on him. You knew that he wasn't going to be hanging around much longer than that. And that is what Philly are so good at doing. Taking the most important player and moving him out of arm's reach of his teammates. No one was going to save Muma there. No one could even get to him.
And Boink knows it's kind of a lost fight, so he actually just sits behind the payload the entire time. So the payload not just kind of casually strolling through, or you would have had at least like 2 people in the spot that you're fighting to move on through. So does delay a little bit of the progress here that Philadelphia would have garnered by him just contesting the entire time.
One thing I didn't maybe get a chance to mention as well is that it is going to be so easy for Carpe to get charge of Sato as opposed to Dante off Muma here. Sato's just going to jump straight in the middle of the enemy team, and the Outlaws going to have no choice but to try and fire at him. Very well timed sound barrier coming out there from the side of the Fusion. Now Rock's going to be forced to use his Transcendence. In fact, both teams do. But Carpe, he has the ace up his sleeve. It's a Graviton Surge that has been waiting in the wings, and he is charged up. Now a cool man out of the way. It's time to strike, and that he does. Drops in from the top rope. Self-destructs left in front of both teams here, but Poco wins out on a 2v1 exchange with those bombs. Muma getting rid of Carpe is a good sign, but again, it's just Muma, and he is so used to feeling like this. And the payload gets to the second checkpoint, while Muma still stood.
Yes, Coolmat actually flies up to try and peel back. That's when Carpe realizes he knows that the remaining players are still down in that bottom right corner, because he's just lobbing down some Zarya alternate fires, picking up some damage. Then as soon as he sees Coolmat goes past him, then he uses that Graviton Surge. Nothing Houston could do to react.
3 minutes, 53 seconds on the clock for Philly. It's a lot of time as far as Gibraltar is concerned, but this is where teams can tend to slow down. Sato haven't switched over towards the Reinhardt yet. Still hoping to make the Winston work, and so far it's looking pretty darn good. Primal Rage now, again, displacement. Houston in utter disarray.
I mean, you just notice the little things, right? He jumps behind a few members of the Outlaws and then uses the Primal Rage to push them back around the corner so they don't have the ability to turn around the corner, go back, get a full reset. So Sato done a nice job of just staying alive on Winston. I feel like that's been the hardest issue for him, is just staying alive. So now they have to, well, not going to live through that. It's going to be a solo grab to take him out.
Yeah, 1-for-1. Muma and Sato both going down now, but Carpe is getting close to his grab. The sound barrier, though, will be enough to ward the Fusion away. Sato will switch to Reinhardt now, which is what we were expecting to see. But still winning a fight with the Winston on this stretch is impressive. Again, he did it with Primal, but the fact remains.
And here's what you can do if you're Philly. You can build up towards this sound barrier. You can sound barrier into the Outlaws and then hope they react, get a few players low, react with the Transcendence, then just play the long game. You can even speed boost out at that point because you've accomplished your goal, then hit the grab.
Oh, that was
losing Sato, though. You can't do none of that.
Yeah, Coolmat really got in there. Zana removed, EQO down, and well, Neptuno will be hitting the speed boost to get the rest of his team out of there. 2 minutes, 28 seconds. Philly have lost 1 minute on this part of the map already.
So looks like Poco's going to have to jump off the side here. Does not want to waste even more time.
Still, that is a long walk.
The Outlaws want to play close. They want to get some ultimates out from Philadelphia early. They're okay with dying to ultimates around this corner. The issue is they don't want to play back by the cart. You have a little bit of a trade here as Carpe takes out Boink, as Raucus takes out EQO. That's actually, I mean, that's a trade that you probably would like if you're the Houston Outlaws. So you have no rally or, well, let's see, yeah, I mean, they invest into it. I mean, it's perfectly placed, but...
What?
All right.
Poco was no business getting 2 with that. And the Fusion is still able to push on Matt. They're going to keep going for it. Oh no, Boombox sniped out. And now I think they'll stop and Poco opened a window for them there. There was definitely an opportunity.
I'm surprised you saw them invest into that when you knew that there was no chance of, like, you can't get the burst heals on Nasato or anybody else. When EQO dies, you don't have the repair pack. You're not building up towards a rally.
Well, you're not getting Inspire procs either. You're not getting that AoE healing when you're fighting. The Fusion...
They did Barrier, but that was only when the grab came out.
I don't know about that one, Philly. So, let's see what EQO can do here. Ideally, the Fusion want to try and set up a big Earth Shatter from Sato. That means that EQO is going to have to be thrown into the mix here. He has to be the one to start this off. Maybe rally. He comes forward. He gets bubbled instead of Sato, and then a bash. We'll see. Sato is eating a lot of damage, though. He comes to push, though. Sato's the one that gets the bubble, and he's going to go a little bit aggressive here. EQO off to the side. He's looking for it. Didn't quite find the bash, but Boink got taken down, and Boombox finished off the job at long range. Boomer got given a bit of a repair pack there. Another Transcendence to keep him alive. Desato go for a charge. Not from this angle, he doesn't.
The Transcendence comes out, and they back up. They know they want to just wait this out. Now Boombox has his hit Transcendence. Uma does hit a shatter. He knocked down Carpe. They're going to use Soundfire to invest.
They cannot find Carpe, and he's going to be the key to the fight now for the Philadelphia Fusion with a Graviton Surge waiting to be used. Transcendence well timed by Boombox, and it connects. And again, from downtown, Poco drops in yet another bomb, and it's good. 2 for him. And the freakish Frenchman drops another load. That's incredible stuff. And now the Philadelphia Fusion are going to get across the line. I don't know where that was from, but I guarantee you it is from a heck of a long way down range.
I think they kind of lost track that Poco was actually still behind them. He was over by the spawn doors, and he was still just putting down some damage. I think they lost track. They sound barrier. They went forward. And I don't think they expected that self-destruct to just come from behind. Perfectly placed yet again from Poco.
What's so crazy about this gentleman is that this is not forced. He looks pretty impassive. That's because he just is. So where does he let this one go? I guess
he forget that he's in this area.
Look at how he repositions his mech before he sets that one up there. And this means that Boink and Ahan is both susceptible to that blast, even though they look relatively safe. I thought it actually came from closer towards Philly spawn on the other side there. What a way to turn that fight around.
You know, he was over just kind of, you know, pestering around by the spawn door for a bit, and then
there's essentially no setup with that self-destruct either. I mean, yes, there was a Graviton Surge on Muma, who would be the target, would block a lot of the damage. But even without that, the bomb came in after the surge. It was more that the Outlaws were not ready for that angle at all.
I mean, Poco, he had fantastic self-destructs last year. I mean, you know, the Poco bomb, it was kind of like a
players have gotten smarter, man.
Yeah.
You know, and the Brig is now in the game. Zaya is more, you know, common. So it's harder to get kills for free off the self-destructing it. Poco is one of those players who is still able to do it because of the way he sets it up. Because he has these years of practice about, you know, exactly the line and length he needs to, you know, set up, the kind of trajectory he wants. There's like galaxy brain stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit different version of Diva play from both of these teams. I will talk a little bit about that, though, after we see what Houston decides to do. So looks like Raucus on the hog here. You're going to Sonic Arrow, see if anyone's around the corner. See what they decide to play. If they're just going to play, just a standard 3-3 from both sides. But interesting enough, Coolmat actually leads in terms of damage between the two Divas. No, 6 self-destruct kills for Poco, and then you have 4 for Coolmat. Poco does lead in terms of damage blocks, so playing a little bit more defensive than Coolmat, who's being a little bit more aggressive as the Diva here.
Man himself is playing for the high ground here. Again, just drops down so we can use Defense Matrix on Muma, so the crack back in damage isn't too great. Muma, unfortunately, not able to get a foothold as he went to the high ground. So they will try and force Philadelphia to engage. But look at this, they're going to do just that. But Philadelphia might have found a more vulnerable spot than Houston intended for them to see. Boink and Raucus are down and Ahan's missing. Yep, that's done.
Yeah, and I don't think that they expected players from Philly up on the high ground, and they actually jump onto the supports. They force them up the staircase, and then on the other side of the staircase, unfortunately for the players of Houston, you had Carpe and Boombox there able to put down some damage. Cool Matt now has to give up all of the self-destruct ultimate charge he earned there.
Which I think was a non-trivial amount this time,
not a
Matt.
ton, but...
Poco at 70. And yeah, I think losing 2 players to Dante. Seems like the Fusion slightly overlooked Dante in the last fight. They had to push more aggressively on the Outlaws to get some extra stagger so their players could return, which they have. And there it is, D-suit on Cool Matt early on. And Philly looked very good, Matt, and they have for quite some time, playing this Winston-based 3-3 on defense.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this is what the Shock do. The Shock do it with the Reinhardt here, but you play close on Gibraltar. Like, this is one of your best opportunities to attack from the defensive side. A lot of different areas where you can, come up from the high ground to the low ground, right? Doesn't allow you to get the offensive team into that open space and create chaos.
Because in a map like this, Philadelphia can create it so if they're playing attack or defense, they can still set up the fight so that they are the attackers. They are the instigators. That's where they shine. And you can see that right now. Straight on towards Raucus. There's nothing Sato loves more than to sort of finding one of those weak targets in the backline and diving.
And you can see when Muma jumps up to the high ground, there's a little bit of a sneaky play here.
He's up to some monkey business, Matt, and Philly don't know. They don't know.
He's not.
No, they don't. Still, this guy is hanging 10.
Yeah, they're high trailing it now. Carpe.
Oh, this is so filthy. And with that, the Outlaws have managed to bypass the choke. Love it. Muma, yeah, well, I mean,
wait
it's the price you pay.
So you do, I mean, look, you bypass the choke in terms of the payload. Will Philly back up on defense? I'm not exactly sure. They were playing Carpe up on the high ground, and Muma jumps up, and Carpe doesn't even move. Just pops his bubble, takes all that damage, and then just waits for Sato to jump down. Then they know there's no jump pack on Muma, can't go back down and peel for the supports.
High ground denied once more as Cool Matt tried to get himself up there. Sato, they're doing the old, this is what Miro used to show, the whole drop down, then jump up. Using high ground as Winston is really important to always make sure that you can get out.
He's trying to bait the solo grab. That's what he's trying to do. If he baits them into the grab, he's got the primal to live through it.
Dante, Boink, a lot of people caught and saw that small room. We know what Sato can do, but he's got a lot of damage coming at him, especially with a Discord orb placed on him. Dante, this is Grab City. If I've ever seen it, lays it go on towards Carpe. The Transcendence comes out now from the Fusion. The Outlaws don't have that ultimate available to the right now. It's going to be self-destruct in the back. No one affected by the Outlaws. They're going to get themselves sound barrier, but so do Philly. The Outlaws playing with a player advantage until just then. Muma taken down. Now Poco's going to try and set himself up on the payload and eat as much damage as humanly possible. Slow the Outlaws down. That's the plan here. Make it costly. Somehow he's able to get past Cool Matt, get healed up, and now another Transcendence comes out from the Outlaws. They're going to commit to this fight. They have no choice in the matter. But here comes the Fusion. Here comes Carpe. And they're not looking just to seize the day, but also the win as Poco's still in his mech somehow, and Cool Matt gets focused. He and Boink were split off for the rest of the Outlaws because of Sato's Winston bubble. And now Raucus is going to be chased out as well. Everyone on the Outlaws having to fall alone, split apart here. The Fusion doing so well and carving them up into 6 different pieces and having them one at a time. Again, Boink trying to do the cute play to keep this thing going, but for the Outlaws, oh yeah, a very disappointing attack here on Gibraltar. The series, in all fairness, had already been lost. Philly now just having a bit of fun with it, and why not bask in the glory of a sweet 4-0.
Philly there towards the end. Muma switched over to the Wrecking Ball, had to get onto the payload to contest it. Neptuno just sat on it, and what Philadelphia did was just push EQO and all the tanks up. They were able to clean up a lot of those extra players there that the Outlaws had just lingering around, but really strong performance from Philly today.
No doubt about it. I think Poco definitely got to shine a little bit more in the later part of the series, but the match had already been won by Philly by that point. The real work definitely being done in maps 1 and 2. And the combination of EQO and Sato looking extremely good for Philadelphia. They're leaning into now a synergy that's been developed on this roster over a vast number of repetitions. And the Outlaws obviously are trying to make some changes, but Philly have remained true to playing a 3-3 with Winston and they look very good at it. They're starting to really make it their own.
Yeah, no, an 0-2 start to the Outlaws stage, probably not what they wanted. We can take a look at the season standings here. So this is the overall season, stage 1 and stage 2. The Fusion moving to 5th at 8-5. And you see the Outlaws, they fall below that 7 through 12 that would qualify for the play-in matches. They drop down to 16.
Yeah, you're happy there if your Fusion sitting where they are. The Outlaws still have, don't freak out fans, they still have plenty of games left this stage. Remember, they still got 5 more to go, and a lot of those are going to be happening over in Dallas as well. So if you're a local fan, get there and support them and cheer them on as they try and rack up a couple more of those wins to set themselves up for a spot at the stage finals. Here's your Omen by HP player of the match, by the way, and I've got to give it to this guy, EQO, fantastic performance, and yeah, I'm giving it to a Brig player because his setups, Matt, have been stunning all throughout the series. Every big shatter from Sado has EQO's shield patch behind it.
And we talk about how important it is for the Brigitte player to be alive a lot of the times. Beautiful setups, different types of situations, but how many times did we see Archon sometimes get early picked off first? We never really saw that from EQO throughout the entire series. Played a very strong series throughout on the Brigitte. We saw the Hanzo early on in map number 1 as well. Definitely a difference maker on the hero. I mean, look, anytime you put down 27
only 17
much
deaths. That is huge.
50k healing with only 17 deaths. So that's a pretty strong series.
We brought up Erster's stat card from that previous series, Matt, and he had about 36 deaths, about the same amount of final blows here. So you can see how good EQO is at being an initiator and staying alive. He was a huge part of Mooma not being able to exercise as much control as he would have liked over the battlefield. I'm really impressed with his performance today, I have to say.
Yeah, and he's definitely turned into a leader on this Philadelphia Fusion roster. So they'll obviously doing all the things that we see Brig do, whether it's set up plays or just kind of like backtrack, keep everybody alive, and then also call a lot of the games as well.
A lot of red, white, blue in the house today, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, the Washington Justice take on the Los Angeles Valiant. Both teams have a lot to prove and a heck of a lot of maps that they need to win to be considered a part of the playoff race. So we'll see how that all comes together right after this. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, man, what's up?
You need anything for today?
Nah, man, I think I'm set.
Big day today, man?
Yeah, huge. Let's play some Overwatch.
Огонь по готовности! Огонь по готовности.
Into the
Огонь по готовности.
pass into the iris.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to continue the coverage of today. We've already had some pretty crazy matches there. Outlaws suffering a loss. Of course, we had NYXL suffering their first loss. But now we have two teams who have struggled to pick up wins, but somebody's got to get their second on the season so far. Justice going up against the Valiant. Both teams, one victory so far. Who will come out on top?
Yeah, that is the big question. I mean, as you say, they're both sort of down the bottom of the standings right now. Taking that second win, not first, since they both been able to pick that up now, is going to rocket them up a little bit in our standings. Now, just to point this out, because we haven't talked about this too much yet since we've been in Stage 1, now we're getting towards the end of Stage 2. Top 6 get into the playoffs guaranteed, but 7 through 12 will have to fight it out to get those last 2 spots for the top 8. So making it in top 12 doesn't mean you're going to playoffs. That's going to be really a very competitive and tough match once you get into there, but top 6 is what you want.
And this is where we are currently at here, taking a look at the Stage 2 standings for the moment here. So interesting shakeups coming through after the loss of NYXL. Gladiators currently surging up to that top spot, but focusing on our two teams now, we have the recent acquisition literally announced earlier today. Sleepy joining the Washington Justice, coming over from the shop.
Yep, and it's been a while since we've seen this guy in action. And, you know, he's going to come in here and be kind of, you know, the supporter or perhaps the starter over Guido in the Zenyatta position. And it's exciting to see this guy finally get playtime, because with Violet moving over to the Shock, you know, he kind of got put on the bench, you know, for further notice was what it looked like. But now that he's got a starting spot here potentially on the Washington Justice, let's see if he could become an upgrade, because there have been certainly some questionable trances from Guido. And if you look at the stats, career-wise across the board for these two players, this is actually a pretty valuable stat, because it's actually career, so a lot of data here. Sleepy does outmatch him in every single metric. Not to mention that he's played twice as many games of Zenyatta, up at about 176 as Guido. So he's got a lot more experience in this role. Guido has played longer in terms of professional play, was an Apex Finals MVP, but that was in a completely different role. That was when he was playing Genji on DPS.
Oh, I mean, maybe we kind of have to pop the question on this one. Does this mean that Justice will use Guido in more of a DPS role?
Yeah, we
will
gotta
he
wonder.
Still be held exclusively to sub in for Sleepy if Sleepy's going to be starting? There's a whole realm of possibilities now open to the Washington Justice as far as how they want to bring that team together. But we have the Valiant, who have been looking good. They had a very competitive match